Live edition. Oh, here we are. We're live. Hi. Welcome, everyone. Welcome to week 3 of the special live edition of Treasure Tuesdays. I'm so happy to be here with you today, every time that I get to do this live and connect with you here. But especially today because it is my birthday. And I feel right here, right now, that me having this beautiful celebration of my own life, I'm just reflecting to you that it is also your birthday. Every moment is really an opportunity to begin again, to rebirth, to remember who we truly are. So with today's live Treasure Tuesdays, which is going to be a little shorter than usual, we'll probably go about an hour or less. But I just wanted to share with you that in this moment, in every single moment, we have the opportunity to begin again and to remember who we truly are, to let go of the past, to let go of any concern for the future, and really come into this state of really what a baby experiences, that, first birthday, that moment of birth, and the following few years is just radical experiencing of life rather than thinking about the past and the future. A baby, when it is born, doesn't even have its mind developed yet. It is simply in awe, experiencing the magnificence that is here and now. And even right now, I feel my heart beating every time I hit broadcast or to go live. I feel that. I feel the energy and the excitement and enthusiasm in my heart. And I share this with you because that's part of the present moment, whether it's joy or if it's anxiety or depression or anger, it's part of the present moment. And the beauty is with this work, in celebration of this beautiful book, The Diamond Process, what I really am trying and choosing to get across through this book is that there is an opportunity to see our triggers as treasures, to really step into this glorious truth that even the challenges can become really fun and adventurous and can help us to step into what I call the diamond self, which is actually something you don't add to yourself. It is who you are. It's who we are. It's really just a fancy word for the true self. And the way I see it, we are these glorious, amazing diamonds. And as we grow up from being children and just shining our light and experiencing life and radiating, not because we're doing anything, but because we just naturally are moved from within. We're moved from that space of inspiration, in spirit, in breath, connected to ourselves, our bodies, to life. And then as we grow up, we learn some things, which I call rubble. And that rubble is an acronym, and it's repressed unconscious beliefs and blocks of locked emotion. So all the things we never got to feel, all the beliefs that we learned from our environment that simply, they're just misunderstandings, they're not true. That rubble can collect over the true self, the diamond self. And this book is all about letting go of what is in the way of shining, of standing clear and true. So specifically today, we'll review a bit the last couple weeks, just really briefly, but today is about stepping into the diamond self and migrating away from self-consciousness, the debilitating self-consciousness that pretty much runs our society today. What does he think of me? What is she thinking of me? What do I look like? Just really being externally referenced to being internally referenced, to basing success on how connected you are, how connected we are. I'm on this path, how connected we are to ourselves, to our breath, to our inner hearts, to our diamond self, to the diamond self. I say the diamond self, not my diamond self, because there's no way to own the infinite nature of who we are. It's beyond thought, it's beyond anything that we can possibly fathom when we dial into this infinite self, the diamond self. It's not something we own. It's not like my diamond self. And the beauty is when we come into this inner referencing, we start to touch into our infinite natures. We touch into this space that's, there's no limit. There's no limit. So today on my birthday, I celebrate life. I celebrate each of our amazing infinite beings having been born into these physical bodies, into the world, and here to lead with love, here to make a difference. Our consciousness is evolving. We are literally evolving our consciousness through what we focus on, and you and me are on that leading edge. We are literally birthing a new consciousness through migrating our attention on what, and we'll talk about this today, from fight or flight, which is survival mode, which is, you know, what most of society today is functioning on, really based on fear, being followers of fear, having that mindset. And it's not judgment. I go through this all the time. It's more so just awareness, like, wow, there's a choice. There's a choice to either follow fear or to step into that leadership of love. And it's not about teaching others or stepping on a platform and guiding others. It's about being a leader for our own selves, our own lives. So today we're migrating from self-consciousness, that debilitating self-consciousness, to self-awareness. And we'll talk about that slight pivot that is a radical liberating step or shift. It's so subtle and yet it's so powerful. And we're going to migrate away from the fight or flight, the survival mechanism, into what I call flow. And we'll talk about that, which is how we flow into thriving, and migrating away from struggle and into really embodying pure presence, being grounded in the moment, letting go of thought and agenda of how we should be, how others expect us to be. What does it mean to be a spiritual being? That's something I'm unwinding right now. Like, being spiritual means always being nice, or always being, you know, having a soft voice, or whatever, all the silly things that the mind can create, that rubble that actually limits the spontaneity and the curiosity and the preciousness that we're all here to radiate. And we all have a unique expression to radiate that infinite self through or into our world. So welcome, welcome, welcome. And I invite you to post in questions. So hopefully you're watching this on YouTube. And so at the bottom, you can put in any questions, any comments, anything you have going on. I'm going to, where are we? There we go. I'm going to check your questions and answer them. And again, today's going to be a little bit shorter. I've got some celebrating to do. Not that this isn't celebrating, but okay, quick review. So I don't think I mentioned this, but the diamond process, diamond is an acronym. And what that means is, so D is for the diamond self, I is for intention, and we've already covered that. And so already on this journey, let's say we're in the diamond self, and we're in the diamond self, we are literally present, awake, clear, conscious, free, empowered, whole beings, living in the world of feeling and experiencing versus debilitating thought. We can use our minds from that place, but the mind is not ruling us. And then we actually, to use the mind, we step into intention. And intention is that second step. It's about being a conscious creator. So to really get clear on what you choose, if you choose to embody peace in this moment, you know, using your North Star intention and daily intentions to really help align and communicate and clarify, first clarify, then communicate exactly what you're choosing for yourself, so that you can start to align with what you are wanting versus what is limiting you. And that's great. So let's say we're living in the diamond self, we're intentional, we're choosing what we want, life is wonderful, and then we hit up against like rubble, or we get triggered, someone pisses us off, or there's a physical illness, or it could be something really subtle or simple, like you spill a glass of water and suddenly you feel angry or whatever. So it's 11:11 as I look at the clock here in California. So the rest of this process is about how do we deal with the things that creep up on us, that trigger us, that limit us in some way. And how can we utilize those very triggers to step into freedom and really embody the treasure, the diamond self. So with that said, before I continue, I'm just checking something technologically here. I invite you to light a candle, create sacred space. We have about 35 more minutes together, 40 minutes, and just close your door and create a space for yourself to drop in. to really receive the benefits that are intended for you to receive here. To take a deep breath, to look at these beautiful flowers, to drop into the essence of compassion, which is why I have Kuan Yin here. And to start to breathe deeply and employ those 3 Bs as we talked about in previous weeks, coming into shine time, which is the whole purpose of this book. And we're going to use shine time today to work with emotions and work with the rubble, anything that gets in the way. So again, to refresh, the 3 Bs to drop into the true self or shine time is breath. So really start to consciously breathe. The second B is body. Bring the breath into the body. You can close your eyes even and just check in with your body and see how you're feeling. And then migrate into bringing your attention to the brow center. Okay. It's super quick. It's just checking in with the body. Okay. So we're going to just take 3 breaths together, inhaling deeply and exhaling out. Inhaling deeply and exhaling out. One more, inhaling in, breathing into the body and starting to check in, holding the breath just for 1 moment, receiving something good here, exhaling out, and starting to check in with how you're feeling in your body in this moment. So are you feeling really peaceful? Are you feeling a bit anxious or worried or frustrated or scattered? And if any of that's the case, I invite you to just click out of any other programs and really choose to be with yourself right now, if that's something you're called to empower, the true self. And start to breathe into the body and just whisper internally as you breathe in and out to your body that I'm here. I'm here with you, body. I'm present with you. This allows the body and the physiology of the body to relax. The body is just like any other living form. It needs love, it needs attention, it needs care. So when we're living up here in the mind, it can really be debilitating on the body, limiting to the body. So just being really deeply present as you breathe into the body. And again, if there's a specific place in your body that feels static or limited in any way, just starting to bring the breath there. Good. And whenever you feel ready, just gently opening your eyes if they're not already open. Just noticing if you feel any difference just by bringing a little bit more breath into the body and some care and attention to the body. And I want to take a moment to send a little happy birthday to Jason, who is on right now, and a dear soul brother from Ireland, and dear soul on the path, a leader of love. Happy birthday, Jason. And we're celebrating a lot of birthdays today. I feel like this particular step of the diamond process is a rebirth. It's a way of utilizing the very things that trigger us, that throw us off center, that kind of whip us around. And rather than getting frustrated over them, we actually utilize them and pivot from the mind to a deep, deep, deep state of presence. It doesn't even have to be that deep. It's just going from the mind, and we'll talk more about this, into feeling. And feeling what's present. So I got a question from somebody, Elena, a couple weeks ago, and I feel like it's really relevant for today, and I want to include it before we even dive in. We're already here. We're already diving in. And she's suffering from chronic pain in her body, and She wants to meditate. I think she has a deep meditation practice, but she's having a lot of trouble meditating and dropping in and coming into presence because her physical body is in so much pain, and not just every now and then, but chronically. So this is something I have a lot of compassion for, and I feel like just to be gentle with yourself and remember, if anyone's going through chronic pain or any kind of pain, there's the opportunity is to actually, it's not to be present with that chronic pain all the time, because who can do that? It can be very challenging. But if you just take a moment like we did and actually come into the body and ask, what are you feeling in your body? And for someone who has chronic pain, checking in with where that pain is, and notice the difference. Rather than thinking about the pain, fearing how long is this pain going to go on? What do I do about the pain? It's simply whispering to the pain, coming into this deep state, and connecting, placing your hands on wherever you feel it in the body. Let's say it's a shoulder, chronic pain in the shoulder, and just starting to become deeply, deeply present with the shoulder. And there's the natural response, or the instinct, is going to be to run away from the pain. It's going to be to escape the pain, which never allows the pain to actually heal. When we're running, imagine trying to heal anything without tending to it. It's impossible. When we have invisible pain, it's the same thing. Emotional pain, or even chronic pain that may not be visible, but you just feel it inside. It's the same thing. But when we have a gaping wound, it's obvious. We just go and tend to it. We bring, emollient, we clean it, we love it, we put a bandage on it, we're really gentle with ourselves, super caring. This work, the diamond process, is all about bringing that same level of compassion, care, and integrity to our emotions, to our bodies. So with chronic pain, for example, any kind of physical pain, I feel is it's kind of that, it's like if you look at a continuum, if there's something out of alignment in our lives, the body will communicate very clearly. And first, it typically starts with emotions. Something doesn't feel right, so we start to feel uncomfortable, fearful, frustrated, because typically there's a thought that's not in integrity with truth. So it's like the heart is saying, I'm a free being, I want to be exactly who I am. It's not about being perfect, it's just about being honest and real. And the mind has this whole agenda of, oh my God, you can't be that. You have to be like everyone else, or you have to shift who you are, or you have to fit in. And they're very subtle mechanisms in the mind, yet that can create emotional discomfort, because the body is saying no. The soul is saying no. I choose to be who I am. So when it gets to physical pain on that continuum, it's typically because there's something that hasn't been listened to. And I'm not saying this is an absolute, but typically it's because something hasn't been addressed emotionally. So that rubble, so to speak, that encases the diamond self can get really, really crystallized, and it starts to create discomfort. And that's typically a sign that there's a readiness for a release, for liberation. The pain typically rises and gets bigger right before, an opportunity for healing, or the let go, finding that let go. So with the pain, with chronic pain, Elena, I just suggest wherever it is, just to breathe into it every now and then, each day, for a second, for 2 minutes, as long as you can, and simply be present with it. There's no agenda to heal it. There's no agenda to fix it. It's just like being with a friend who's in discomfort. There's trying to fix them is actually quite cruel, because it's not accepting them as they are. So rather than trying to fix it, it's befriending that chronic pain as it is, and simply being with it, breathing into it, and becoming curious about it. You may notice that suddenly it opens, or tears start to flow. And typically energy, emotion is, or any kind of chronic pain even, is that static energy. It's like something is not moving. There's some kind of stagnation. So you might notice that with presence, it starts to move. It starts to open, and the key is to allow it, okay? And again, it's not to be present with it all the time, but just to drop into it every now and then. Okay. Whew, there's a part of me that just wants to bring everyone into a room together and just hear what you have to say, and hear where you are and feel where you are. So please start putting in your questions if you haven't already. I am just trying and choosing to find the words to articulate something that is so simple, and it's very, very deeply and clearly articulated in the book. But basically, the migration from being lost in the world, which most people are, to being at home in oneself, to feeling this embodied state of freedom, of clarity, of peace, of inspiration, being moved by life rather than forcing life, like efforting through life. It's a very simple pivot from being completely lost in a story to being and feeling. So the easiest way to pivot, so I'll give you an example right now. A client emailed me this morning, a beautiful email, like perfect timing. She's doing radical, awesome work, and we've only had one session so far. And basically what she was saying is that she's having these deep states of presence now and really coming into her body and befriending her body, breathing into her body, becoming connected, having those moments of shine time, and bringing the awareness, and presence, which is what we're focusing on today, to the emotions, okay? So like I said earlier, the rubble, or the repressed unconscious beliefs and blocks of locked emotion, it's like this rubble that surrounds the perfection, the freedom, the wholeness, the radiance that we are. There's nothing to do to add. We don't have to add anything to ourselves to become this glorious diamond self. Nothing. We already are. Like, you're amazing, okay? You're amazing, you're infinite, you're here to be free. You're here to lead with love, you're here to shine, you're here to enjoy your life, and you're here, just like all of us, to awaken this beautiful consciousness that is evolving our humanity right now. What happens is most of us are fighting the rubble, fighting the very things that trigger us. Any trigger, so what a trigger is anything that makes us feel uncomfortable, makes us feel upset. So a trigger could be a flat tire, like I said earlier. A trigger could be chronic pain. A trigger could be something really subtle, like spilling a glass of water, whatever. What happens in response to that is typically a feeling like, oh shit, I spilled the water, pardon my French. Or severe anger at suddenly a thought, oh my God, somebody must have punctured my tire. That couldn't have happened. And then the mind can go on this whole story trip, which is typically an illusion about what could have happened. And then there's this really dramatic, suddenly we're in the mind. So the feeling that's arising is suddenly spinning the wheels of the mind, and typically we can project outward. So a breakup is a really good example, or a betrayal. Somehow that person is the enemy. It's their fault. They did something wrong. So I'm not justifying people's actions, but what I am saying is, in order to be free, there's an opportunity to step into Rumi's field, which is beyond right and wrong. It's beyond blame, it's beyond shame, it's beyond resentment, it's beyond separation. And it's a radical release and a dropping into the truth of who we are, which is a radically loving expression. You're a powerhouse. You are an expression of love. So as soon as we go outside and start to blame somebody for the way we feel, or blame anything for the way we feel, or feel like someone out there or something out there is responsible for our discomfort or our pain, we miss the opportunity completely, and that's where we get lost in the mind. If you feel lost in your life, it's likely that you are very caught in the mind and constantly thinking about what to do. What should I do tomorrow? What did I do in the past? Oh, I wish that didn't happen. So again, this coming into, just like this client that I was sharing about, coming into the present moment and actually bringing that presence. She already has like a meditation practice, so she has that established, which is really helpful. And now she's bringing it to her emotional body, which is the key secret sauce of this work. So the mind typically spins out when a feeling arises that is uncomfortable. It's the mechanism of the ego to repress emotion. And the easiest way the mind and ego can repress emotion is by escaping into the world of thought, which is an illusion. It's like past, future. As soon as we're in the present, where the feeling is, it can be very uncomfortable because we don't know what to do. What do we do with this feeling that feels so big, I just don't want to feel it? So why would we want to repress the emotion if it's actually the doorway into freeing the diamond self, into freeing prosperity, radiance, perfection? And it really comes down to fitting in. All the ego wants is to fit in, right? So we've talked about this. I'm not going to go too deep into that. So this migration from self-consciousness to self-awareness is really simple. Somebody triggers you, and I invite you to take out your journal or really reflect on this right now. When was the last time you felt triggered? Or in this moment, is there anything triggering you? Okay. And notice how that trigger could be anything. How the mind immediately maybe wants to think about that person that's triggering you or that thing that's triggering you. The pivot or the shift is to literally drop the story completely, just for a moment. You can go back to the story. We all can figure out our stories if we choose to. But really come into a space that true alchemy takes place and true transformation, which is coming into feeling. So when there is repressed emotion from the past that was never expressed, or these belief systems that are really crystallizing that emotion and keeping it locked down, like, oh, it's not safe to be it's not safe to be vulnerable, or I shouldn't show my anger, I'll be rejected, or I shouldn't be this, or I shouldn't be that, or I'm too much, or I'm too little, I'm not enough this, or I'm too much of that. So all those beliefs are what keep the emotion locked down. The problem with locking all that stuff down is that then the true radiance can't come out, and that true abundance, which is not something you get from out there. Wealth, friends, community, just amazing job, whatever you want out there, it doesn't come from out there, believe it or not. It comes from inside. It's a magnetism. We're typically magnetizing in our lives anything that's going on in our inner reality. So with the emotional repression, what's happening is all of the light, that light, the beauty, the power that you are, it's like covered in there by the rubble. And it's like, wait, I want to be free. Like that sense of like feeling trapped or lost or disconnected. It's always because there's some kind of belief that is suppressing the truth to flow. And sometimes that truth is messy, it's ugly, quote unquote, it's not ugly, but the mind will say it's ugly and it shouldn't be seen. Awareness, step 3, triggers as treasures, is all about becoming the revealer rather than the concealer of what's really going on, and it's radical and it's courageous. So this particular client she was feeling amazing. She's starting to feel just deep connection and bliss and just connection to her body and joy. And she was feeling so good, and she had this really powerful question. She said she went to the veterinarian, to bring in her dog, and her dog had some issues. And so she immediately went into her mind and thinking and obviously doing. She had to do some things while she was in there. And she paused to come into her body and do this work that we're going to experience here is the treasure tool, and that we did a little bit already. And she started to come into her body while the veterinarian was talking. And she couldn't listen to him from that place yet. She couldn't listen to him from that place and couldn't be there with him. So she realized, oh God, I have to snap out of the sadness that I'm feeling right now and not be present with it and just kind of repress it right now and just to be present with him. So that is a perfect story to express. This isn't about being present all the time. This isn't about, feeling our emotions in any given moment. It's about navigating through life and having pauses, like washing our hands, bringing the shine time practice into everything, especially our emotional states. There's tremendous fluidity, flow, and energy that starts to unlock when we come into right relationship with our feelings. And given that 1 out of 4 women in this country are on antidepressants, and I'm not judging it at all, but I'm just using it as a statistic to show that, we're in a culture that's really, we don't know what to do with our emotions. We have, extraordinary obesity and addiction problems, and it's never been this high. It's never been this bad. So what is the solution to all this? Until we find a correct, right, abundant, flourishing, genuine, loving, compassionate relationship with our feelings, we will forever be lost in self-consciousness, trying to fit into a world that is actually quite lost. I feel myself getting a little bit fiery right now because it's like, there's a quote by Krishnamurti that says something like, you know, we're trying to fit into what is more insane than trying to fit into a world that is completely lost. And the reality is most people are completely lost. So in my own life, once I woke up to that and realized, holy shabib, I've been relying on the outer world to tell me who I am, to reflect to me what they like, what they don't like, and then perfecting myself into what they want, which is a recipe for absolute disaster and misery and feeling lost. I finally realized, oh my God, I'm here to be my own best friend. There's a deep source of wisdom within that is infinite in supply. I have the power to shift from outer referencing to inner referencing. I have the power to realize that success has nothing to do with how much money I have, who I'm with, what my community looks like, if my body is trim or, you know, jiggly or whatever. It doesn't matter. I'm a freaking eternal being, and I have been relying on something that is, and I'm speaking this for all of us, relying on something out there that is ephemeral. It is short-lived. It is temporary. It is going to dissolve. All these personalities, and you know, most of our world is in survival. So it's really about being the ambassador of love and stepping into becoming radically present with what we feel. Not all the time, but at least sometimes. You know what I'm saying? So coming into that friendship with yourself, with emotions as they arise. So this particular client, so beautiful. Like, she was asking, what does she do? Because, you know, she went into the veterinarian's office and she felt like she kind of failed, or I don't know if she felt like she failed, but it was like, damn it, you know, I wasn't able to be present while he was talking, while all these emotions were coming up. But it's not about being present all the time. It's just about having a meditation space, having a space of love, or sitting out in nature, or even in your car when you're parked right before going into work, and carving out time for shine time. Carving out that time where you employ the 3 B's, breath, body awareness, and the difference today is shine time with the emotions rather than the 3rd B, which is the brow center, and bringing the gaze with the eyes closed to that neutral, intuitive zone. Instead, the way to befriend the emotions and step into that inner referencing and that thriving mode, it's about coming into the breath, 1st B. 2nd B, the body awareness. Migrating, this is key, away from thinking into feeling what's present in the body. And then the 3rd, rather than going to the brow center, bring that attention and that focal point to whatever is present emotionally. If there's nothing present emotionally in the body and it's just chronic pain, for example, but you don't really sense an emotion with it, that's fine. Then just bring the attention to the feeling in the body. For me this morning, I had this annoying little cough, and I was like, what is this? And it was annoying. It was a really subtle trigger, but I was like, I don't like this. So I went outside and was doing my morning meditation, and I just did that. Breath, started breathing, closed my eyes, brought my awareness to my body, and started feeling into specifically, and even put my hands there. No agenda to fix it or change it, just become present with it. Then it just started naturally over time as I was breathing, allowing it. About 5 minutes in, it started to break up and it started to clear and it started to open and my throat started doing that, and then it just disappeared. So I'm not saying that'll happen all the time, but the reason I say triggers as treasures is because anything out there that's poking you and triggering you and making this emotion rise up, they are your servants. They are your blessings, because they're literally showing you where in the body there is upset and where there is the deepest need for love and compassion. But most of our society, and the reason why most people are so lost, is because rather than coming into self-love, they come into separation, battle, and it's what I call fueling love. We have an opportunity to fuel love, starting with self-love, over war. So let's say somebody cuts you off while you're driving and you're like, you ass, you know, blah, 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 beep, 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 like whatever the Oh, I'll censor all that out. But whatever you would say to someone who cuts you off in traffic, rather than doing that, or you could, but rather than doing that, just that war, which is fight or flight. It's what the animal side of the brain is basically doing. It's the reptilian brain coming into survival mode. And that fight or flight is a way of escaping danger, okay? The irony is there is no danger now. Unless there's like a Bengal tiger running after you, there's no danger. But that part of the brain is still employed, and it sees danger as like somebody offending you or disliking you or judging you or whatever. So there is to the ego a subtle danger because it's about fitting in and belonging. So this is about migrating into that radical love, so that beyond the consciousness of ego mind, it's like, well, there's nothing wrong with the ego. It's a step in consciousness. But the next step in consciousness, that next frontier, is about being radically awake and present with whatever is going on. And in order to be here in the moment, the only way is to actually stop fighting and running away from what we're feeling. So I ask you to tune into whatever has triggered you recently, and this is our treasure tool. There's a huge tool in the book, which I'm not going to get into now, but I highly suggest checking it out. It's the Flow Journal, and it's something you create on your own. Very simple, very powerful. So if you have already read it, then just reread it, the Flow Journal, in the Awareness Triggers as Treasures, Step 3 or Week 3 section. And it's in the Diamond Putting It into Practice section. So in the Diamond Self-Activation, and it's the second one, so the Flow Journal. Super powerful, super key, and it's something you do daily in your journal. Really powerful, especially if you do it for like 30 days or so. Okay, so right now, if you could just come into anything that may have triggered you recently. And just notice and remember that any kind of fight or battle against it, trying to run from that trigger, trying to fight the person or the thing, even if it's chronic pain, trying to get rid of it, trying to fight it, that's still survival mode, fight or flight. It's like running in an endless, it's like spinning the wheels, draining the energy with no resolution, because it doesn't help. Like I said last week, Byron Katie, as she quoted, or I'll even quote a different one. I love this, by Einstein. Problems can't be resolved at the same level in which they were created, or the same consciousness in which they were created. So in order to heal anything, it's about migrating away from stress and worry, which only accentuates and instigates more pain, into a radical, radical, radical willingness to step into this loving, mothering, or fathering presence that cares so much, has so much compassion, and starting to send that compassion, which is free of thinking and full of attention, loving attention. So suffering is that trying to fight or flight it, and flow is fueling love over war. So can you bring love to whatever feeling? So first see what triggered me, okay. Then come into your body and say what emotion is present as a result of that trigger. What emotion is present in you as a result of that outer trigger? And that's the pivot. Rather than fighting the trigger that is out there and trying to resolve something on the surface, which never resolves anything, like Rumi says, maybe you're looking in the branches for what only is present or appears in the roots. Maybe you're looking in the branches for what is only available in the roots, or something like that. So this pivot to freedom, to awakening the treasure within, is so simple, and it's just about putting it into practice this week. What is the trigger out there? 1, identify that. 2, what do I feel as a result of that trigger out there? Boom, that's the pivot. What do I feel in my body right now? It might take some pausing, some breathing, some listening, some tuning in. And then get radically honest. I feel like killing that person for doing X, Y, or Z. Let's say that's the most radically honest thing. And that feeling is rising up inside. Then just being present with it and allowing it. And you may even need to move the body. There might even be a roar that comes out. It might push up some sound. It might force you to stand up and just like, ah, and open the body up. Or you might feel super vulnerable and like wrapping yourself into a ball. Follow those instincts. Come into the body, listen, and respond. So 1, identify the trigger. 2, what do I feel in my body? That's the pivot, coming into the body. And then migrating out of thinking, and just notice the difference. Migrate out of thinking about what you're feeling to feeling what you're feeling. And being really honest, if you have an agenda to fix or change this, it's not going to work. And if you do have an agenda to fix or change it, you can just fess that up and say, I want to fix this or change this. I don't know how to let go. I really don't want to deal with this. And that's really honest. And then you'll probably start to see momentum just by saying that. And then becoming present with the feeling. Don't let the feeling become thinking. Keep coming back to the feeling. And if you can, locate it in the physical body and put your hands there. And this becomes your shine time practice. And staying with it, relaxing the belly, letting your hips relax, your shoulders relax. And you take as much time as you need with this. We're not going to go much further than this. But I share all of that as a practice to start exploring and discovering what happens rather than transcending what you're feeling. This is an embodied approach to meditation. This is using what's really going on in the present moment, which the present moment never lies. The present moment, every trigger, anything you're feeling, the rubble is the doorway into unlocking the diamond self. Literally, the rubble is the doorway. The repressed unconscious beliefs and blocks of locked emotion is the rubble to freeing the diamond self. So we're just getting present with what we're feeling, whatever that rubble is. And rubble feels kind of judgmental to me, and I don't mean it to be that way. It's just, it works, the word, to remember. And the beauty of this is it's like watering a seed, and it's like chiseling away. Each time you sit in this beautiful space, it's just like Michelangelo that said about the David, the beautiful, amazing David. The angel was already inside of the marble. All he had to do was set it free by chiseling away the excess. So this is that journey, and it's lifelong. It's not something we do once. It's something that we shift from self-consciousness. Oh my God, I have to fix the story, out of fear, survival mode. Oh my God, to such a deep state of radical care and radical love and presence that honestly it becomes irrelevant what other people think, feel, judge about you. And to me, that's freedom, and that's the message I'm here to share and to give these really tangible ways to start chiseling away and experiencing the adventure, because you start to see, oh my God, there's that, amazing glow that starts coming out. You shed a few tears and suddenly you feel beautiful again. But notice how the mind creates a story, and keep coming back into feeling. If you feel it's impossible to stay with it and just feel and breathe, typically this is enough. But then that's what the rest of the diamond process is for. Next week we go into the medicinal dialogue process, which is kind of like the heart of the practice, and it's what I was doing in the redwoods all that time. So I hope that helps. If you guys have any questions, let's see what we got going on over here. Oh, Jason. Okay, so how do you envision your biggest, brightest future when you know your beliefs are limiting that vision? How do you move beyond this so that you can be free, moving forwards, following your heart instead of listening to the mind? How do we process the rubble to the point that it no longer limits our beautiful potential? Awesome. So the main thing that's popping out here is, how do you envision your biggest, brightest future when you know your beliefs are limiting that vision? How do you move beyond this so that you can be free? Okay, so envisioning the future from a state of mind is ultimately going to be creating a future of fear until there is a radical relationship with the fear. Not radical, but a compassionate relationship with the fear. So typically, everything that most of us are doing in the world, creating these visions and creating these, whatever we're creating, is coming out of fear. And that's what I mean by having a follower of fear mentality. It's like chasing something to avoid what's going on right now. And I really hear that question so powerfully. And I sense a little fear in there. Like, what do I do with these thoughts that are negative, that are fear-based, that are... So the power is to come into the diamond self. So week 1, it's like coming into shine time as much as possible. And what happens is a foundation of presence step becomes very raw, just like raw, so strong in one's heart and body and mind. And just like the client I mentioned earlier who got kicked out of that present feeling when she went to the veterinarian, that will happen. It will happen a lot, possibly. Not saying it will happen a lot, but possibly. And so the mastery, the self-mastery comes in accepting where we are in the moment and letting go of a need to be perfect, letting go of a need to even get it right. And the secret sauce is to be like, wow, I'm just really fearful. I have these beliefs that I'm terrified to move forward, and I really want to get out of this. I don't want to be where I am right now. I don't want to feel this. Just notice the difference when we start to speak the truth. Rather than placing an affirmation, a positive word on top of a gaping wound or on top of a negative belief, it doesn't, at least in my experience and what I've seen in myself and others, it doesn't work. But the beauty is, as we move through this process, you'll see step 7, and it's funny to have steps, but I did notice this repetitive pattern as we clear and come into deep presence and actually allow whatever is really present, even if it's a negative belief and emotions and blah, blah, blah. When we start to master that and bring presence to those moments, then we become unshakable, we become unbreakable. And then by step 7, we start to actually utilize, and you'll see through this process, the very beliefs that have held us back to step into declarations of truth that help us vision from that place of spaciousness, of clarity, of no longer trying to run away from what doesn't work, and actually leading with love, which to me means being in the face of fear, being in the face of negative beliefs and saying, I don't know what to do right now. I don't know. This is humbling. I feel like I'm never going to get out of this. Tears might start to shed. Wow, I know who I am. I know what I'm capable of being. And this is what's my reality right now. I feel really anxious or fearful. And as soon as there's an acceptance and a radical, radical embrace of what's showing up in the moment, and a coming into feeling, the path naturally unfolds. There's no mental will. It actually comes naturally, and it's like this presence or the diamond self starts to engine the mind. And then suddenly you'll find that you start visioning out of nowhere, like powerful vision that you didn't force yourself into to run away from fear, but actually it arose spontaneously or out of a place of total inspiration. So I hope that helps, that distinction. I feel like it takes a lot of courage, it takes a lot of courage to be in a place that we don't really want to be when we're in it. But the beauty is it's about migrating to that place of heart and love. That's like accepting. So what did you call it? Yeah, so like these limiting beliefs. So maybe those limiting beliefs are fear. So think of that fear, that part of the self that is just constantly conjuring up and generating fearful thoughts as part of you. And just bring it home. It's like an orphaned kid who's had, a really tragic experience. And it's not the whole of you, but it's part of you, let's say. And when we stop rejecting it and bring it home and start to love it and accept it like an orphaned kid, how? By feeling, embracing it, coming into the body. You'll feel where it resides in the body. And that's where alchemy takes place and transformation as it flies out of my hand. So I hope that helps. And let me know if you have any more questions. Mwah! And happy birthday again. Okay, Jacques says, this is lovely. I'm working on exactly these things right now in my life, just learning to love and accept all aspects of myself so that I can align fully with my goddess self. Yes. What a journey it has been so far. Sending you much love and appreciation for your work. What can I do to release the pain of trauma from my cells and my body? Okay, beautiful. Thank you for your gratitude. So there's a subtle, I'm so glad you just asked that question because it's something we pretty much all do. There's a subtle hint in your question. What can I do to release the pain of trauma from my cells and my body? That is a really subtle. Of course, you don't want to feel trauma in your cells or body, so it makes perfect sense. But there's a subtle rejection of the trauma in your cells and body. That rejection, what we resist persists. So there is no way. We can muscle through and try every technique, and we can do everything. Tap and scream and release and punch pillows and blah, blah, blah. But if there is or breathe and meditate and get massages. But if there is a subtle, I want to get rid of this, it's ultimately going like this. I want to get rid of this trauma. So imagine a traumatized kid who's out here, desperate, and it's part of you, okay? This is where dividedness and feeling lost in life happens for many of us. Wanting to reject a part of ourselves that is vulnerable or traumatized or fearful. So it's not about trying to release it from yourselves, but actually love it into wholeness. Yet there is no agenda for it to ever be whole, if that makes sense. So it's like having a traumatized child, and if that child is a fearful child forever, can we come into a state of so much love, even though we want that child to be free and healthy? It's about migrating to the place beyond right and wrong and being the lighthouse of love that trauma needs more than anything. And there is nothing that can heal trauma other than your own loving and acceptance and compassion, which is why I always have her here. And there's always grace. There are spontaneous healings, so anything is possible. And I feel like there may be an opportunity to come into radical love and relationship with the trauma. And we'll get into that next week as we start to personify the facet and actually give the facet a face, so to speak, so that it can actually, it's a little easier to drop into a feeling with it and come into that altitude rather than trying to fix it, coming into the diamond self, which has the healing power. So I hope that helps. Okay, Megan, happy birthday. Thank you. Thank you, love. Okay. Jerry, you need not add to your already complete true self and cannot add to a non-existent false self. So why not relax? You basically just said it all in that. Why not relax? And I feel like this entire path is about finding our let go, finding a way to just relax. But if it were easy to relax, we would have a culture that is relaxed and healthy. So for me, I'm always asking myself, what will help me to relax? What will help me to let go? It's why I sit in nature. It's why I dig my feet in the soil outside, and why I bring my tea out there and drop all technology, drop all doing. And I just, let go. So a lot of the shine time practice is just about finding the let go. And as we breathe into what's really present in the body, there's that, you may start to notice, for me, even this morning with the throat stuff, suddenly an exhale, didn't force it, but in being present and breathing into it without agenda, suddenly I release and I relax and I let go, and then it started to clear. And rather than going to the future, I stayed with it and I went deeper. So yes, right on. Relaxation is the way to diamond self. Light shadow. Hi, Veronica. I've been getting into the present moment several times every day. And whenever I particularly get deep down or deep into the present, afterwards, my mind is unnaturally active. Oh, this is so good. You guys have such good insight and questions. And there is the pull to get busy or to pull myself into distractions. Do you have any thoughts? I do. So on this journey, it can feel like a radical division at first. Like there's the world of the diamond self, or whatever you want to call it with a capital I, the true self, and the human self. And there can actually be an increase in, can be, not always, but can be an increase in mental noise, in like the mind kind of clinging, or the ego clinging and holding on and kind of fearing this present state, because in the present state, the ego is just like anything else in nature. It wants to survive, it wants to thrive, it actually wants to grow. So it's not about getting rid of the ego, but it's about, again, coming into compassion for the ego and starting to, just this alone may help, starting to acknowledge that that's natural, that increase or that speeding up, wanting to kind of run away and avoid. You've touched into like this beautiful space. Suddenly you open your eyes and you go into the world of doing, and it can feel, I love your awareness that you can see the pattern of speeding up or racing to do things to avoid something. And the question is, what? So on a deeper level, it is possible, and we'll get into this in chapter 6, but what's coming forward for me, it's like when you're in that place of presence, radical spaciousness opens up. And in that space, you don't have a story. In that space, the past and future is gone. In that space, you're just here. But the ego lives in the past and future. So it's like, holy shabib, I'm dying right now. Where am I? Where's my story? Oh my God. So it will then spin you into doing and talking about your story and dramatizing, and let's get back into the story. And that comforts the ego. But through this journey, there's an opportunity to actually give the ego a new role, and to let the ego know that it's never going to be gotten rid of. There's nothing to get rid of. We actually need the ego to function in the world. I don't know my name without the ego. I don't know how to do this without the ego. I don't know how to write a letter without the ego. I don't know how to plan my whole life or my business or anything, make a reservation for dinner without it. So it's about letting go of the way I see it, it's like being foundationally present and allowing the diamond self to grow, which happens every single time we come into shine time. It's never lost. Even if you feel like freaking out afterwards or lost in the story, that's always there. It's like watering a seed or chiseling the rubble. Less rubble is there now. It may not feel like it, but something has freed. And it becomes obvious later, like, oh wow, there's a shift that has happened. So it's never lost, even when we suddenly feel lost in the story. But what happens is, from that present state, then there's a befriending of the ego and the mind, and the two worlds can kind of come into this natural, like almost like a marriage. It's like being in the world but not of it, being present in the world but not of it. And at first it may start with a fight, or it seems like this really far departure from being present, being who you truly are. I'm on this, like, that's my mission, is to know and breathe, to feel that. What does it feel like to live in each moment from that state of being moved and present through life, and everything within me being relaxed, including the ego? Like, imagine living that way all the time. I know it's possible because I have guides who embody that. It's not about being perfect, but just about being present through the imperfections. Okay, I hope that helps. And Kim says, stumbled, led by angels into this. Wow, thank you. That's so amazing. I love that you're here for the first time. And anyone else here for the first time, mwah. Great to meet you or be here with you. Marie says, happy birthday to Jason. And when I say Jason, I don't mean my beloved partner. I mean Jason, who's here with us today, a fellow amazing soul family here. And so, yeah, happy birthday, Jason. And hello, Veronica. The 3 Bs are like little Buddhas. That is so cute. I love that. Thank you for that. Okay, so we're going to wrap up here. Let me just make sure there are no more questions that came in. Let me just refresh. And we can all refresh. We can all refresh, like hit that virtual button within our own spirits and just hit the refresh button right now. And how do we do it? Shine time. We're going to close with just 3 breaths together. And let's make sure no more questions. Somebody just wrote, you can kill people, we're eternal beings, so what? LOL. It's the irony is that from the space of the diamond self, there's no way that a person would kill anybody because we're all one. So it would be like beating oneself or killing oneself. And that's where the migration to the diamond self is so powerful, because from that place, it's only natural to be in a state of compassion, love, care, and we start to see that what we do to others, we do to ourselves. So it's not like what I'm saying about the diamond self, it's not like this apathy or transcendence. It's actually about transformation. It's about being a fully embodied leader of love who's like feels everything inside so courageously that you can't help but feel courageous. I feel like crying just with that. Like that's one of the best things that's happened on my journey, is having that such a deep feeling inside of knowing one's pain or knowing one's challenges. You guys know my story. So, and to touch into that stuff courageously rather than masking it. And then you just can't help but love people even when they are being insane. It's like, oh, I've been there. I so hear you. You can't help but see the light beneath the surface, So anyone who wants to go deeper with this, I highly suggest just the book is found on Amazon, amazon.com, The Diamond Process, using everyday triggers to awaken the treasure within. And I am going to be coming out with a more affordable version of this book I want everyone to actually experience the beautiful illustrations, but we'll do it virtually. So I have a flip book made that's absolutely gorgeous where you see the illustrations and you'll be able to access that. I'm going to launch that, I think, hopefully next week. And we shall close with 3 breaths. I love you guys. And yeah, just enjoy this week, bringing what we're about to do to what you're feeling, and let me know how it goes. Just let me know. And if you want these sent directly to you so you don't miss them, go to veronicakrestow.com. Veronica Krestow, KRESTOW.com. And I will send you these live links so you can be with us each week. Okay, so dropping everything I just said, dropping the future, and just coming home into this very moment. And coming into shine time. SHINE is also an acronym. I love acronyms. Stillness heals and illuminates natural energy. When we come into stillness, we literally come into wholeness or healing. And from that whole place, we naturally shine or illuminate that natural energy that we have inside. It's infinite in supply. So coming into a moment of stillness as we just breathe into the body. And if any is present physically or emotionally, awesome. Welcome it in. Bring it in like a mama or a father who's just like, come on. Breathe into it, embrace it, allow it. Two more deep breaths, inhaling in. Receive extra breath, your vitality and life force into the body, and then exhale it out, making space, letting go of anything static in the body. Inhaling deeply, receiving something good here, and exhaling it out. Inhaling in, a couple extras. Really receive, holding the breath in all the way from the toes to the top of the head, out the fingertips and everything in between, heart, throat, belly, solar plexus, creative centers, everything, every part of your body, tailbone. Exhale it out. And one more, inhaling in, effortlessly feeling the breath is charging you up, just like plugging your cell phone into a socket, charging yourself up to 100% love. Energy, vitality, and as you exhale out, feeling like it's overflowing and transforming, reaching your environment, reaching those you love, not with you doing anything, but you being present with yourself. And whenever you feel ready, just opening your eyes. Beautiful. And consider me a little voice and a messenger from beyond, like just this message from beyond coming through me here and now to remind you that you are powerful beyond measure, beyond anything our minds can possibly imagine. Your heart knows exactly where to go. In any moment, you can ask yourself, what does my heart say? And it will know. And everything that you dream and everything that truly inspires you is unfolding. And as you courageously love yourself, tend to yourself, nurture yourself, radically exaggerate it even, exaggerate that self-love and self-compassion, and let yourself express what needs to be expressed, no matter how quote unquote ugly it may seem, because it's not ugly, it's freaking awesome, raw power. May you feel and be the loving embrace that our world needs, starting for yourself and radiating that out into the world naturally. Thank you so much for being on this path. You inspire me. You are amazing. And I can't think of a better birthday gift than to share today in this moment with you. So thank you. You are amazing. All right. So much love. Mwah. Have a beautiful week. And I'll see you next week. Same time, same place. And this may take a moment here. Hopefully. Okay. All right. Mwah. Bye, everyone.